Welcome to This Day in History, created by American Heritage Worldwide. A reminder that every day holds something new to learn. Did you know that the Tabernacle Choir was founded 1 month after the Latter-day Saint pioneers entered the Salt Lake Valley and first sang at a church conference in the Salt Lake Valley just 29 days after the pioneers arrived? Learn how on July 15, 1929, the first Tabernacle Choir, music, and the spoken word radio broadcast began with just one microphone, a ladder, and a young volunteer holding the microphone above the choir. Learn that only 4 announcers have served as the voice of music and the spoken word, and that the program has continued without interruption through wars, natural disasters, pandemics, and changes in technology. Discover how the Tabernacle Choir and music and the spoken word have inspired generations with uplifting music and messages of faith, comfort, gratitude, and love. So I want you to picture standing in this massive cavernous room.
Okay.
It's shaped almost like a giant oval dome. And right in front of you is a choir. Hundreds of voices, heavily layered, just ready to sing in perfect harmony.
Right, a massive group.
Massive. And then right behind them sits this towering, colossal pipe organ, the kind that can drop bass notes so low they, literally rattle the floorboards under your feet.
Oh, yeah, you feel it in your chest.
Exactly. So your job is to capture this giant, complex wall of sound and broadcast it live to the entire country.
Okay, sounds stressful.
But you only have one single stationary microphone to pull the whole thing off.
Oh, man. And, we have to remember the era we're talking about here.
Right.
You don't have some modern, highly sensitive digital mic that just automatically balances frequencies.
Yeah, no smart tech.
No, none of that. You are dealing with heavy, highly temperamental early radio technology. Stuff that was basically designed to capture, a single person talking right up close into it. Or maybe, like, a small jazz quartet.
Right, so capturing a 300-person choir plus a giant organ with 1920s tech sounds like an absolute physics nightmare.
It really does.
But that exact, seemingly impossible scenario is what kicked off the longest continuing network radio broadcast in history.
It's amazing.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we are exploring the factual history, the incredible tech leaps, and the really monumental cultural legacy of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square.
And their historic broadcast, music, and the spoken word.
Yes. It's such a masterclass in endurance.
It really is. We are looking at an institution that hasn't just survived, it has consistently grown and thrived through nearly a century of relentless global change.
Yeah, and our goal for this deep dive is to trace the uninterrupted timeline of this phenomenon.
From the very beginning.
Exactly. We're following the thread from a literal wire run down a dusty street in 1929 all the way to this global force that reaches millions today.
Uncovering the secrets of its longevity.
Because whether you're, an audio engineering nerd, history buff, or just someone seeking a quiet moment in a noisy world, there's so much to learn here.
Let's start with the sheer physical challenge of that very first broadcast, because it's wild.
It's so wild.
It highlights this massive gap between the primitive broadcasting tools they had and the enormous scale of the music they were trying to share.
Right, so the date is July 15th, 1929. The National Broadcasting Company, NBC, is getting ready to put the choir on the national airwaves for the very first time.
Huge moment.
But they didn't have a dedicated broadcast studio. A local radio crew had to physically run a wire from their control room out the door.
Literally out the door.
Down the street, nearly a block away, and feed it straight into an amplifier inside the Tabernacle on Temple Square in Salt Lake City.
It was a single wire.
Yeah.
And once that wire was inside the building, the technicians hooked it up to a solitary microphone on a stand.
One mic.
One mic. That one piece of equipment had to pick up the sopranos, the altos, the tenors, the basses, the booming pipe organ.
And the announcer.
Right, the spoken introduction for every single number.
And they couldn't just leave the mic sitting on the floor, obviously, wouldn't pick up the voices. They needed elevation.
So what do?
They recruit a 19-year-old kid named Ted Kimball.
Who just happens to be the organist's son.
Exactly. They hand him this heavy microphone, put him on a tall stepladder, and just tell him to hold it in the air.
Imagine the physical tension for him in that moment.
Oh, I'd be terrified.
Right. You're 19, you're suspended on a ladder, holding a heavy piece of metal.
My arm hurts just thinking about it.
You can't cough, you can't shift your weight, you can't even breathe too heavily because a national radio network is broadcasting whatever your mic picks up live to the country.
It's like trying to capture all of that clearly with one primitive mic is like trying to record an IMAX movie audio track using a single smartphone perched on a selfie stick.
That is a perfect analogy.
It just defies the laws of audio engineering. It should have been a distorted mess.
But the secret weapon that made it possible wasn't the microphone at all.
It was the building.
Yes. The Salt Lake Tabernacle is legendary for its acoustics.
The dome-shaped roof, right.
Exactly. And it's supported without a single center pillar. And when it was built, they didn't even have enough metal nails.
Wow.
So the structure was largely held together with wooden pegs and rawhide.
That's crazy.
That specific shape and those wooden materials basically turned the entire building into the hollow body of a giant guitar.
Oh, wow.
So it naturally amplified and blended the sound before it ever even reached Ted Kimball's microphone.
Which, brings us to the foundation of the choir itself, because that building and this group of singers weren't just assembled on a whim for a radio stunt.
Not at all.
The choir was officially founded in August 1847.
Which is incredibly early.
Right. To put that in perspective, that is just one single month after the Latter-day Saint pioneers first arrived in the Salt Lake Valley.
After a grueling trek across the plains.
Yeah, and it speaks volumes about what they valued. I mean, these people were refugees.
They were facing an untamed, arid environment.
Their immediate priorities had to be building rough shelters and planting crops so they wouldn't starve during the winter.
Yet, within 4 weeks of arriving, they organized a choir.
They viewed music not as a luxury, but like a survival mechanism.
It was just as vital as food or shelter to them.
And you can see that same sheer determination when you look at how they got their instruments.
Oh, the organ story.
Yeah. Like, we think moving a piano today is a headache.
Try moving an organ in the 1800s.
The original tabernacle organ was built using components that were shipped all the way from Australia across the Pacific Ocean to the coast of California.
And California was still a massive distance from Utah back then.
Huge. Once those delicate organ pieces arrived at the coast, they loaded them onto wagons, and they used teams of 12 mules to drag these massive, intricate pieces of musical equipment inland.
Across brutal desert terrain and mountain passes.
All the way to Salt Lake City.
So you have this incredible bedrock of pioneer grit.
Yeah, the sheer force of will to drag an organ across the desert gets the music into the valley.
And then the architectural genius of the tabernacle, plus a teenager on a ladder, gets the music onto the national airwaves.
Right. But, a cool origin story and a clever tech workaround only buy you a little bit of time.
Sure.
The novelty of hearing a massive choir on the radio wears off eventually.
It always does.
To keep an audience tuning in every single week for nearly a century without interruption, you need an emotional anchor.
And that's exactly the pivot point here. The acoustics and the technology were just the delivery mechanism.
Right.
The true staying power of the broadcast came from the human element, the distinct, trusted voices that guided the listener through the music.
Yeah, because every single program of music and the spoken word, dating all the way back to 1929, has opened with the exact same signature hymn.
Gently raise the sacred strain.
Exactly. It sets a very specific tone immediately, and that tone was eventually personified by a man named Richard L. Evans.
Right. Richard L. Evans became the first regular narrator for the program in 1930.
And he was only 24 years old at the time.
Just 24. He became the voice of the broadcast, and he had that position for 41 years.
Until 1971. I really want to sit with that timeline for a second, because 41 years is a massive span of modern history.
It covers so much ground.
He was broadcasting through the depths of the Great Depression, the entirety of World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, the assassinations of the 1960s, the moon landing.
Through all of that global chaos and fear, his was the voice people heard every Sunday.
And in those 41 years, he never missed a single broadcast.
Which is just an unparalleled streak of reliability.
Never missed one.
Not one. And his commitment is even more profound when you understand his other responsibilities.
Oh, right.
During his tenure, he was assigned to the Quorum of the 12 Apostles.
Which is the highest tier of global executive leadership for the church.
Exactly. It requires constant, exhausting travel around the world to minister to congregations.
But he always made it back to the microphone.
Regardless of where he was, he ensured he was there for the Sunday broadcast.
And what he actually said into that microphone really created the blueprint for the entire show.
He didn't just introduce the songs.
No, he delivered these brief, uplifting 3-minute sermonettes, tightly written messages touching on gratitude, duty, happiness, comfort.
He built a deep parasocial bond with the audience before that term even existed.
Totally. He proved the spoken word was just as critical as the music.
And when he passed the baton, that specific format was fiercely protected.
Right. J. Spencer Kennard took over the narration from 1972 until 1990.
And after him, Lloyd Newell stepped into the role.
Lloyd Newell served for an incredible 34 years. He only recently stepped down so he and his wife could serve as mission leaders in Los Angeles.
Leaving quite the legacy.
Yeah, and that transition brought in Derek Porter, who narrated his very first broadcast on June 23, 2024.
Making him only the fourth announcer in the history of the program.
Okay, wait, I have to stop and push back on this for a second, because that is completely counterintuitive to everything we know about modern media. Think about television or podcasting today. If a show's ratings dip for even a month, the network panics.
Oh, absolutely.
They swap out the hosts, they rebrand the graphics, they shorten the segments for shrinking attention spans.
Right. The conventional wisdom is adapt or die.
Exactly. So how does a broadcast maintain its relevance for nearly a century by essentially never changing? Only 4 lead voices in 95 years.
Because in this specific case, the refusal to change isn't a lack of innovation. The consistency is the feature, not a bug.
The consistency is the product.
Exactly. When Lloyd Newell reflected on his time with the broadcast, he articulated this perfectly. He called the program a welcome reprieve, a faithful companion, a trusted friend.
A trusted friend.
Think about what makes a trusted friend valuable. Its reliability. If the broadcast was constantly chasing trends, pivoting its format, trying to be edgy,
it'll just become another piece of the noisy media landscape.
Right. It provides a gentle reminder of life's purposes in a world full of distraction.
It provides an anchor. The world outside is chaotic, but when you tune in on Sunday morning, you know exactly what you're getting.
You're going to hear, "Gently raise the sacred strain."
You're going to hear an uplifting message, and you're going to feel a sense of peace.
The unyielding reliability is the draw. But as powerful as that radio anchor was, the broadcast eventually reached a point where audio alone just wasn't enough.
The audience was growing.
It had to expand its physical footprint and jump to the global stage.
Which brings entirely new challenges and incredible accolades. So in 1962, the choir officially makes the jump to television.
A huge milestone.
And today, they aren't just on 1 or 2 networks. They are on over 2,000 radio and television stations.
Reaching millions across cable, satellite, and digital platforms.
But bringing cameras into the tabernacle had to fundamentally change the operation.
Oh, massively. You're suddenly adding massive broadcast lighting grids, multiple camera angles, a whole new layer of production complexity to a building constructed by pioneers.
And as the audience scaled up, the physical instruments had to scale to match that grandeur.
Right. The organ.
Yeah, let's look at the evolution of that organ. We talked about the original components hauled by mules in the 1800s.
Right.
Over the decades, it has been enlarged and renovated 5 different times.
Growing from its original 2,000 pipes to an astonishing 11,623 pipes today.
11,623 pipes. That's
Wow.
insane. To really grasp how massive that is, just look across the street at the Modern Conference Center.
Right.
That building is a marvel. It's literally large enough to hold a Boeing 747 inside its auditorium.
They're massive.
And the beautiful organ in the conference center has 7,708 pipes. The historic tabernacle organ absolutely dwarfs it.
It does.
Yeah.
Its warm, rich sound is universally recognized.
But an instrument of that immense size operating inside a pioneer building presents a major physics problem,
Especially when you introduce modern TV production into the mix.
which became really apparent during the massive renovations of the tabernacle between 2004 and 2007.
Right. The building was closed for seismic and structural upgrades.
They had to ensure it could survive an earthquake. But alongside reinforcing the foundation, they completely refurbished the interior.
And one of the most critical upgrades they made was installing an advanced air conditioning system focused specifically on the rostrum.
The raised platform where the singers stand.
Exactly.
Now, on the surface, that just sounds like basic human comfort, right? You have over 300 singers wearing formal performance attire, packed under blazing TV lights.
You need to cool them down so they don't pass out.
Right. But the comfort of the singers wasn't the main factor, was it?
No, the real reason for that targeted AC system was deeply technical. It was installed to maintain the tuning stability of the organ.
Wait, the organ needs air conditioning. Oh, because of thermal expansion.
Precisely. The pipes are made of metal and wood.
Right.
A pipe organ is essentially thousands of precisely engineered wind instruments. When the temperature in a room rises, say, from hundreds of hot television lights, the metal in those pipes physically expands.
And that expansion changes the internal volume of the pipe,
which directly alters the pitch of the note it produces.
So if the soprano section is standing under a cluster of hot lights, the organ pipes nearest to them are getting hot and expanding, causing their notes to go sharp.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, the giant pipes hidden way in the back are staying cool, so their pitch remains flat.
The entire 11,000 pipe instrument starts fighting itself.
It becomes an acoustic nightmare.
Even a slight fluctuation in temperature throws the harmony completely off. So by meticulously controlling the climate around the singers and the organ, the engineers ensure the acoustics remain absolutely pure.
The mechanics directly serve the message.
They aren't just protecting an instrument, they are protecting the spirit of the music.
That is such a brilliant intersection of engineering and art, solving a physics problem with air conditioning so a choir can hit a perfect chord that moves someone to tears in their living room.
It's beautiful.
And that meticulous dedication clearly pays off, because the cultural milestones this choir has achieved are staggering.
Over 150 compilations and films.
They are a mainstream industry powerhouse. 5 gold records, 2 platinum records.
And Grammy winners.
Yes. They won a Grammy in 1959 for the Battle Hymn of the Republic, performed with the Philadelphia Philharmonic.
Which is still incredibly famous today.
And the TV industry recognized them too. An Emmy win in 1987 for their special Christmas sampler.
They've sung for 10 U.S. presidents, starting with William Howard Taft.
Received the National Medal of Arts in 2003, inducted into the Nebby Hall of Fame in 2004.
And their Billboard dominance is just fascinating.
Right. In 2004, their album Sing, Choirs of Angels, spent 8 weeks at #1. Then Spirit of the Season did the same in 2007.
They absolutely own the charts.
But beyond all the trophies and the gold records, the true legacy of the choir is found in moments of profound impact. How they respond when the world is hurting.
That's the ultimate test of their mission.
You see that perfectly on September 11, 2001. The choir had a standard concert scheduled for a business convention in Salt Lake City that evening.
But when the attacks happened that morning, everything stopped.
With only a few hours' notice, they entirely scrapped their planned repertoire. They pivoted instantly and transformed the event into a solemn memorial service to remember the victims.
Providing a space for collective mourning.
And you saw a similar, though much more celebratory, global impact during the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City.
They performed over 20 times during the games,
providing the emotional soundtrack for a global gathering of humanity.
So when you step back and look at this entire timeline,
it's just phenomenal. I mean, bringing it all together for you, the listener, you start with weary pioneers using 12 mules to drag a heavy wooden organ across the Burt.
To a brave 19-year-old kid balancing on a stepladder with one microphone, terrified to breathe.
And from those humble roots, you arrive at a Grammy and Emmy-winning global institution featuring an 11,000-pipe marvel of engineering.
Delivering an uninterrupted message of hope every single week.
It really prompts a beautiful reflection. We want you to think about your own life for a moment. What is your favorite hymn? And how does the music of the Tabernacle Choir bring the spirit into your life?
It's a great question.
Because having a trusted friend in your media diet, a voice that never chases trends and never misses a Sunday, is incredibly rare.
It proves that while the delivery methods evolve, the human need for comfort remains constant.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to mull over. If a simple broadcast started with one microphone in 1929 can run uninterrupted for nearly a century by focusing on a consistent message of peace.
What does that tell us about what human beings fundamentally crave in our modern, hyper-fast digital media diets?
Can any new form of media created today ever hope to achieve a 100-year uninterrupted run?
We spend so much time optimizing for immediate engagement, but this proves that true staying power comes from finding a universal truth and sticking to it.
Sticking to it, decade after decade. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the sheer noise of the modern world, just picture that 19-year-old kid on his ladder, holding up a heavy microphone, sending a little bit of harmony out into the dark. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us for this day in His story. May the lessons of yesterday inspire you to see God's hand today and to play your part in His story now. For more faith-based learning, visit ahsworldwide.org, the homeschool for faith and family.